Welcome to our final ever LinkedIn Live, our final one of the year and final one that they're ever going to give us. And today's subject is how to make 2025 your best year ever. We've got a few confessions to make, like we're starting slightly late. And also, it's just before New Year's Eve, so we might not get anybody on. But if they do join us, they'll have a blast. I can't wait to share it with you. And here we go. Welcome to LinkedIn Live and welcome to Speak on Stage. And we're live. Huge apologies to make to everybody about the fact that we do seem like we're running late, but there's a reason. There's a reason why we're running slightly late. And the reason why we're running slightly late is because I completely forgot what time it was. I'm going to change now to my winter scene, which I normally have on the video leading up to Christmas. And then I stop after that because it just feels depressing. But leading up to Christmas and sort of New Year is a good time to do it. See, Christian's popped up, so now it's worth doing the broadcast regardless of what goes on. And Chris as well, fantastic. Here's my excuse, and you should never start by giving an excuse. You should just move straight forward and go, yes, it was all part of a bigger plan, but it just wasn't. It's New Year's Eve, which means that it's a day before New Year's Eve. And having been a DJ for many years, and also having been incredibly stupid, I just kind of thought, have I got a gig? Must be a gig. What gig is it? And I kind of switched it all off and then thought, no, we haven't got a gig. It's New Year tomorrow and so on. So I left it. And I completely forgot what we did is rescheduled what we're doing right now, which is normally on a Friday or sometimes on a Sunday, but those days are of no use to anybody. And doing it on tomorrow, nobody's going to turn up because everybody's either going to be at home depressed and watching for the fireworks on telly, or they're going to be out getting a life. There's very few people who sit in front of their laptop going, if only I had more friends. So I thought, well, we'll just move it to the Monday and catch people just before they get ready. And then I forgot I decided that because it's not a normal day for us broadcasting. So I apologize completely, and that's the way it is. It's today's session is how to make 2025 your best year ever. And we've got a number of different ideas we're going to move through. I think it's been a bit of a challenging year for everybody in some way, shape or form. Some people, like the pandemic, will turn around and say, oh, it was the best year, 2024, never had it so good. But I think most of us saw it as a year that was one step better coming out of the pandemic, but not quite there. But I think we also realize that 2025 is going to be a year where you have to shape up and you can't use excuses to say, I hope it improves, because nobody who's going and doing all right is waiting for us to catch up. And after 3 years of getting over the pandemic and so on, this is what we have. So I'm going to get people spinning it. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. As always, you're very welcome to join us on stage. Share your thoughts and share your experiences and share what you think is going to be the best way for everyone to improve. And I'm going to start off by going to Aziza, my gorgeous wife, who may or may not contribute at this point, but if you do want to. Aziza, 2024 versus 2025, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many things people say it's not a good year for 2025, but I think it's going to be different. I think it's going to be better. I think that if a lot of planning, if you start a lot of planning beforehand, you will achieve what you want.
I think you're right. I think that it's potentially as bad as 2024 has been, but I feel that I'm kind of pre-warned that there's no cavalry coming over the hill, there's no rescue plan, there's no, oh, we've been waiting for you, this is your time. I feel you have to make it happen for yourself, otherwise it's not going to make any big difference. So I'm kind of prepared for it that way. Christian Farioli, as always, it's a pleasure. Are you back in Dubai now? Are you still in Italy?
I'm not in Dubai. I'm in Italy, and I couldn't miss any session of yours, even if it's a delay, even if it's change, even if there is a mistake. I'm always here.
It's not a mistake. It's
I'm
all
joking.
part of the big plan from Santa Claus, that crazy bearded man.
I'm joking. I just opened the mobile and I saw Dave Crane session in 2 minutes. Really? And I click. That's it. Really a random coincidence, but it was meant to be.
You know what? If you'd arrived earlier, then you would have seen that there's nothing going on. But this is it's serendipity. So how's your trip? How is Italy treating you?
Amazing. Actually, at the moment, I am in the mountain in the Italian Alps in Monte Rosa, and I'm skiing during the day with my kids. I teach them how to ski and enjoying the winter, the cold winter in the mountain in Italy, which I haven't felt since probably for the last 12 years. Last time when I was in here in the mountain was 12 years ago. So it's the first few days was a little bit tough. Things get used to Dubai hot weather. Now it's very very cold, but after a few days, that's it. We adapted. We are a human being, very easy to adapt, and now it's okay. Now we
So,
enjoy, and we saw the snow coming. So the kids were getting crazy seeing the snow coming down,
of course.
and here we are.
Question for you then, because you and I have been in Dubai for a very long time, and Dubai's been very good to us. But when you go back to your hometown, you kind of get the experience of your home country, and you get the experience of what it's like now. You make new friends, you make a new relationship with it, but you also ask yourself whether you mean to or not, could I live back at home again? What's your answer to that?
Great question. The answer is absolutely no. Even if I have all of the money of this planet, I will never go back to my hometown. Now, I love Italy as a tourist. So that's why when we come back not to stay in my hometown, just maybe a day or two to see my mother, so she see the nephew, I mean my sons. But actually, we're moving around and always going into touristic places, touristic area where people go. And actually, I do the tourist in Italy, so that's the best to do, where you're not tied to anything, and that's it. So when the holiday season finish and everyone start getting sad because holidays are finishing, for us it's amazing because we take Emirates Airline, we go back to Dubai and back in business in the most beautiful city. So I really feel that Dubai is our home now for many many years.
I agree with you, but when you're getting, because there's a part of you, because I know you're patriotic, same as I am about being a Brit, and I kind of feel I'm cheating a little bit by not caring as much as I should do, because there's a definite distance between me the way I used to be and the way I am now. But when you talk to people and you're over there, do you say I'm from Italy or do you say I'm from Dubai?
It depends. Actually, when I'm in Italy around, it depends where I am, but typically I say I'm from Busto Arsizio, which is my hometown. Because once you mention I'm from Dubai, everyone's going to say, "Oh, it's amazing. Oh, tell me about it. How is life? How is this? How is that?" And a simple answer become like, "Okay, now for the next hour, I'm gonna need to entertain an audience about Dubai." So that's why I keep it
I understand completely.
carefully
Yeah,
secret.
yeah,
That's
you
friend with friends, close friends, or friends. Some nice. Then it's okay to reveal that I live in Dubai for the last 18 years now.
Yeah, and I know that for anybody who doesn't live in Dubai, this is a very Dubai-centric conversation, which we will change shortly. But for anybody who's moved away from their hometown, Christmas is a time, depending on your festive, religious, spiritual beliefs, when you tend to end up going back to your hometown and seeing the people that you grew up with and your family, or at least connecting in some way, shape, or form. But you kind of have to justify why you're not there anymore in a way that makes everybody go, yeah, that's fine, which isn't always easy. One of the difficulties that comes from that whole experience is the fact that for you to move on, it's almost like meeting up with an ex-girlfriend or an ex-husband or whoever it would be, and you kind of have to put on a brave face and go, yeah, yeah, of course, I remember the good times, but deep inside you're going, I'm so glad that I left. And it's really hard. It's easy to get on a plane, but sometimes it makes you think, gosh, I'm used to being in a foreign country. That's it. That's all. Not even thinking about, what happens when you get older. So I think for everybody, they've got their own spin. I was chatting to a friend of mine that I can't mention, but he's a big hitter on LinkedIn, and we talked about the challenges of going through being with an ex-wife and their family because you want to see your kids on Christmas Day. And I'm blessed in the fact that we had a very quiet Christmas, myself, my Aziza, and my daughter and my dogs. So we Zoomed my mum in the morning. But other than that, we didn't really, open our doors to anybody. And we just kept it really, really in-house. And I think it's easier to do it like that. But sometimes you've got a family to look after. I don't know how much easier that is. Just to throw it to Christian before we go on to Chris Panadella. It's great to have you joining us, Chris, by the way. So, Christian, when did you actually decide that you were going to leave your hometown and start your traveling? Did you stay till Christmas Day, or did you leg it before that to have a Christmas Day in a different country, a different town?
I mean, you mean for this year or for
Yes, do
good
it.
when I
Yeah, yeah.
decided to
Did
move
you
to
stay for
Dubai?
Christmas Day and then leave?
No, actually, because normally we go to Italy during summertime, and then this year we did because during summer we were changing house, etc., etc. So we spent the summer most part of it in Dubai, and then we realized, oh, my mother is old, nobody knows how long time she's gonna be here, etc. So we decided to go to Italy in winter, because also we have a house in the Alps, which is beautiful during the summer, and then we realized one day we're gonna go back to the house with the kids, and the kids they're going to experience snow. So that's why we decided a few months ago, after just after summer, to book a flight and arrange everything and prepare everything to come here and spend New Year's Eve and Christmas in Italy.
Beautiful. But what was the date? Did you have your mum with you on Christmas Day, or did you leave your mum's hometown and
Actually,
go?
we came to Italy. We spent a few days in my hometown with my mother. Then we came alone to the mountain. Then we go back to the hometown for on the 24th to celebrate the 25th and the 26th with my mom. And then again we go back to the mountain just alone, just as a family. Now we got some friends coming over from different cities, staying with us. Then changing few friends coming, living, etc. And then on the 5th we're gonna go back to the hometown, staying a little one more day with my mom, and the 6th we're gonna go back to Dubai. So we plan like this to spend some time with the mother, some time with the friends, some time in the mountains, sometime not. Like we plan our holidays like to make sure that we see enough people. I just was thinking something, since you are the man of the like when. Of the syndrome, you're the man of the syndrome, the
Impo-
imposter syndrome, and many other
imposter
syndrome.
syndrome. You're saying I've
I
got
think that
imposter syndrome.
Mr. Syndrome.
Okay.
So I think that now when we live in Dubai for some time, you have the special guest syndrome. So when you come back to your hometown and you mention you live in Dubai, everyone's gonna tell you, "Oh, that's amazing! That's my friend that live in Dubai." So basically, you become the special guest in your hometown. So that's why I say that this is gonna be the special guest syndrome that we experience. We say Dubaians when we go back to everywhere else, even in our home country and our hometown.
I love that. But I realize that we've dominated the entire conversation talking about Dubai, which is not fair for anybody else who doesn't know and doesn't care. Chris Pinadella, how are you? You're in the US. I know you're involved in. Are you involved in Leap? I'm going to be involved in Leap in about 2-3 weeks in Saudi. I know you do a lot of tech events. Is that one of yours?
Unfortunately, I haven't been invited to it yet, but all I can tell you is the invitations keep pouring in. I'm
Good.
starting to gain a lot of notoriety. So I think even being in this room here, which is, I forgot when I signed up for it, is a sign of just kind of how fast I'm exploding onto the scene. I'm not really sure how to deal with it, how to process it, but it's been a really, really fun journey, essentially. And it's all just because I've been trying to do the right thing, which is just make sure that everybody in the world has access to basic rights and food and water and healthcare. And so I'm working on it as hard as I can every single day. But yeah, I'm here in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Never been to Dubai, never been to Europe. I've been all over the Caribbean, Mexico, been to Canada, just got back from Hawaii. I was out there doing an IEEE event. I'm speaking at Mahmood Babar University in India at the end of this month, but it's only virtually. So unfortunately, I won't be traveling for that either. Um, but I'm excited. It looks like 2025 might be a phenomenal year for me.
Yeah, I think
And
I think so. I think it's looking good, and I think that what you said about India is a key point to it because we're finally maturing the virtual space. And so it makes perfect sense to be able to go online and broadcast to other places around the world because we are becoming a more of a global place. And I think that there are some people who don't like that to happen. Don't go down the political route on this particular conversation. But I think it's a really healthy thing for us to embrace it and for our kids to see themselves as global citizens. Hello to Tracy, by the way. I know Tracy pops up every now and again on LinkedIn. We'd love to have you come on stage and chat to us as well, because today's all about what we're going to going to do in 2025 to make it a lot more interesting and fun for everybody. One of the things, Chris, is I know that sustainability is now becoming a really big business. People are looking at how to involve sustainability in what they do in their company and what we do in the message that they send out across the globe as well. I think that 2025, that's a really important space to be in, as important as AI.
Yeah, that's actually what my organization, one of our first ventures, what we're looking at is hydrogen technology. So sustainability won't go into the details, but sustainability is on our map. It's going to be that, education, AI as it relates to education, and of course, healthcare.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure you're going
I'm
to do very
so
well
sorry,
at that.
guys. I really need to leave you, but I'm happy that there is another Chris handling it. So at least there is one Chris in the group. So I'm happy about it.
It's a
And
pleasure to
also,
meet
he's
you, other
into
Grace.
AI, so which is even better. Other Chris.
Nice to meet you.
All right. I asked you the connection in LinkedIn. I hope to keep in contact with you. And I'm so sorry, guys, but we just got our guest in our apartment, and I don't want to be rude.
You're
But
so
enjoy. I'm sure that's
selfish.
going to be an amazing. I know. I'm sure you're gonna have a blast at this 2025, and I really love you all, guys. Enjoy.
Love to John and the family. Thank you, Christian. Really appreciate you popping up and saying hi. Christian and I go back about 20 years or so in Dubai, and he's a massive tech head. I mean, he was working with Oracle, many other organizations during this time. And I don't know anybody in the digital space who, if it wouldn't surprise me to find that one time he bangs the back of his head and he's actually full of wiring and he's actually like a Borg or a computer or a cyborg, because that's Christian. So I find it fascinating to be able to ask him all the questions I have no idea what the answers to be able to go through. Tracy, if you want to join us on stage, you can do. I'm going to work through the list I've got here, which is in the details of the podcast on LinkedIn. It's the very last of this type, because after New Year, they're not doing any more audios. I think we're going to do something special. I'm working on that right now as well. But for now, this is the last of the LinkedIn audios we're going to do. So reflecting on 2025, I think the first thing to look at is comparing it to 2024. Now, we've already established, we talked to Chris, talked to Aziza, and talked to Christian, but 2024 had challenges, but it was kind of okay. And by the way, Tracy and Alchan, if you want to join us on stage, you're welcome. If you just want to type something into the comments, then we will answer the questions in case you've got lots of noise in the background, or your microphone doesn't work, or you don't like talking to human beings, which is fine as well. So, I mean, I think that 2024, for me, the biggest challenge, and Jeremy, good to see you, by the way. You're very welcome to join us on stage too, if your internet can hold it up, as one of my dear friends. And everybody needs to connect to Jeremy. Jeremy knows everybody and is such a lovely human being. So getting back to 2024, I think that the big challenge for many people, doesn't matter which country you're in, is the politics in America kind of like wiped everybody out, and it left everyone feeling divisive. And for 2025, my spin on it is I'm not spinning on it. I'm leaving it alone, not going near it. I'm going to concentrate on things that matter to me and let the rest of the world do what it wants to do. And that's a major step for me, because I just think we spend far too long worrying about what other people are going to do instead of really thinking about what we need to do for ourselves and the people we love and the people we interact with. Hello to Christy as well, who's just joined us. As I say, the invitation's there for people to join us on stage. So when we start looking at goals, and I'm going to monologue a little bit, feel free to jump in if you want to, by the way, and feel free to put your hand up to join us on stage if you feel there's something you want to add to this. Set smart goals. Now, for anybody who's not a coach, and usually 99.9% of the people are coaches in some capacity, smart goals means that when you define something, you've got to make them specific, which is the S, measurable, which is the M, achievable, which is the A, relevant, which is the R, and T, which is time-bound, which makes sure that you're focused and on track. And I'm still in the process of putting my goals together for 2025. I am running out of time because I want to do a vision board. I want to get all my goals in a line. My daughter bought me for Christmas a really good book, which is the Ultimate Bucket List. And it's the book that you got to fill in and put pictures in and all the rest of it. And I'm not a big cutter outer and printer and putting stuff into a book, but I realize it's important to do it because then it's physical and I have to force myself to play. So with the smart goals that we've got, Can I ask the group, and feel free to join us on stage or just type it into the comments section, that's fine as well. Hello to Rabiol, who's joining us too. What are your goals for 2025? I'd love to be able to review them. I'd love to be able to look at them. If you don't have any, that's fine as well. But if you do have something you want to achieve, then maybe we can brainstorm collectively, because we've got some smart people in the room, what we'd recommend to be able to move those things forward. Now, when I talk about smart people in the room, there's nobody smarter than AI. And I know some people say, yeah, but it's not real. It's not bad. It's not bad. So we'll be turning to Max, who's my AI, a little bit later, and discovering what Max's spin on all this will be. Hello to Manoj as well. See, even at this time, people are popping up for the very last show, maybe to make sure I never do it again, or maybe because they're just interested, or maybe because they're bored and we're just going, you know what, I can't stand my family. Let's see what's happening on LinkedIn. But I was not even going to attempt to do anything on New Year's Eve, because anybody who's on New Year's Eve really needs to have a think about their life choices, I think. It's a platform, but it's not everything. It's just kind of useful on the day before. So pop your goals in, anything you want to have on your vision board. I'd love to be able to read them and work out what they are. I'm not going to be... Aziz is going to share with me what those goals and things are, because if I touch any button when I go live, it tends to change the page or wipe the screen or whatever. Then it goes quiet for a little moment in time, and everybody says that's Dave's fault. Everybody, it doesn't matter. And sometimes I think it's my fault, even if I've not touched anything. But what it is, it's the gremlins at LinkedIn. And even saying that means that somebody's listening or an AI is listening. And it will probably go blank in a few moments' time. So got the vision board we've got to look at, which is something I've got to work on. Al Chan, going to join us on stage. Nice to see you as well. Love to know your thoughts before I move on to a new particular part of the subject, which is about prioritizing well-being. So Al Chan, you're a talent scout. And that's in modelling, I guess, of which I have no chance of being selected because I'm a fat potato man with dreadlocks. But how are you?
Yeah, actually, everybody can be an actor, because we are actually acting every day in our own lives. When we wake up, when we meet up with people, we look at the birds and all that. We're also acting, acting in front of animals, acting in front of human beings. You go everywhere, you're acting. In your day of your life, when you are born in the world, you really started acting. The baby started to cry, and to get the attention of the parents and all that. So basically, everyone is an actor in their own lives. Yeah. So
I
it's
completely
basically
agree
that.
with you, but I don't think I want to watch everybody acting like babies crying or going through their day. I prefer to watch Netflix and see what they're doing. I love your accent. Whereabouts are you from, by the way, Alchan?
I'm from Malaysia, actually. I'm in
Yeah,
Malaysia, between Singapore and Thailand. Yeah.
my
So
wife is from
a lot of people
Singapore.
do not know where. Sorry.
Aziz is from Singapore, and her folks live in Malaysia, so you're part of the family.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just a country above Singapore. So
No, I
yeah.
know.
So like what you say,
You,
okay,
you
good.
you you missed it
So
there. I
you
was
know.
saying Malaysia. My wife is from Singapore, Aziza, who's on the call, and her family live in Malaysia and
Okay.
Singapore. So we're probably related in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, yeah. I judge with you about the politics, in America, but Malaysia as well. We have all our dirty politics as well. So basically, our ex prime minister wife is recently been released, for all the charges. She's one of the richest ladies in the world. She buys lots of handbags and all that. So
Oh,
Hermes and all that. All types of different handbags, and nobody get to charge her, of any charges, of briberies and all that. But the husband is sitting very well is in a house arrest, not even jail, so it's ridiculous. Been taking so much, $2.6 billion, from our country,
get used to
spending it
that.
lavishly.
Get used to it.
Ridiculous.
That is going to be the story of many countries moving off into the future. Billionaires are going to take more control of the because they can of what's going on. I mean, one of the things that I talk about, and I've mentioned it before, even though I won't talk about him as a person, is Elon Musk did one of the most stupid and smartest business deals of all time. He bought Twitter and ripped all the insides out of it, and everyone said, you can't do that, nobody's going to stay in it. Well, people have stayed on it, but what he's given himself is the world's biggest megaphone that world leaders have to pay attention to. And now he's using it to be able to manipulate what he wants to manipulate. And I think that is just part and parcel of what we're going to see bigger and more scary, and also sometimes to help us in
And,
2025.
and now he's in the US government and he has Starlink, so he could turn off the internet to certain countries where conflicts arise.
He's in the US government and he's got fingers in pies in every other country as well. And nobody dares turn around and say anything, because if he goes on Twitter and rips them to shreds, that knocks onto their economy. So we're not elected. That's another conversation to have somewhere else. And to be honest with you, I mean, I had a gig coming up with Elon Musk about a month or so ago, and I'd rather not turn around to anybody who's in a political position and put my politics forward front and center. I'd much rather get the job done to look after my family. So I'm not really going to comment on it. I've got my own thoughts. I'm going to keep them private, and I think that's a really smart play for
Even
2025.
Grant Cardone, you know about Grant Cardone? He's also together with Donald Trump,
Oh,
the real estate
I,
billionaire, trillionaire, yeah, in UK and US.
Grant Cardone, I know Grant Cardone, not very well, but I met him at a gig in Dubai about a year ago. So we could start ticking off a wish list of people and so on. And I think that's a very healthy conversation to have in private, but not a healthy conversation to have in
Cool,
public.
cool.
So
All right. Yeah,
let's
2 more days
drop
before our New Year.
definitely let's drop that
Cool.
conversation, because I'd rather not we went down that particular route. It only ends in
Yeah,
tears.
we can continue our smart goals. Yeah. So
Yep, definitely.
basically, sometimes goals are easy to set, but it's difficult to you drop out, like half year through or quarter year through, it's difficult to set the goals, that you wanted to do and all that, So it's like you can put a big all the big hairy audacious goals, be hack, But unfortunately, sometimes it does not work out in your way, that you wanted it or you expected it. So basically, you can put many goals, sometimes, but in time to come, there's certain challenges throughout the year. Then sometimes the goals are not met and all that. But of course, it's good, to set up certain goals for the coming year. But yeah, maybe you can share some thoughts on that, Dave.
Yeah, I think the way to do it is making a vision board is always useful, because what you've got is a reticular activatory system which is built into your brain, which allows you to pay attention to things that you're interested in. And visually is one of the things, the pictures and images are one of the things that stimulates it more than anything else. So it's a really useful thing to have a vision board, because then your brain can fix on the things that you're interested in and draw a deadline towards getting towards it. But I've found having goal setting is not as smart as having a business model setting. So what you need to do, excuse me, it's my dinner coming back and waving at me. What I believe you need to do is set your goals, set your vision board, but look at the business model that you need and reverse engineer where you want to be based on what you need to do to be able to go back further and through it. I mean, having, as Aziz is saying, having goals that are reachable, and better to get one big goal than many small achievable goals. I don't know. I agree with you on some point there about the small goals, but I think that what you need to have is some big ones and small ones, because the low-hanging fruit will make you positive about moving forward. But sometimes being able to get the small goals is enough to turn around and say, I can achieve and I can do something. Whereas if you're aiming for something so huge and you fall flat a bit, then sometimes you end up feeling that it didn't work. But it did work. You went for it and you got some results out of it. And sometimes that's the best we can hope for. Nice to see Marcia, Cesar, and Tamrat, by the way, as well as Christy. And I've mentioned Jeremy, Tracy, and Rabiul. Just to mention as well that on the goals that I've asked everyone to put in, we got a message from our friend Jeremy. He says main goal in 2025 is to make an even bigger impact on the lives of others. He's a very generous guy and he's got a book out, by the way. Jeremy, if you don't mind sharing your book link in the comment section, everyone can go and buy it. And that'd be wonderful to drive that even further forward. So talking about it, I mean, Ali, you've just described how to become an actor, and 95% of the people in the room have gone, nope, not sharing that with anybody. But that's. I'm sure you've got plenty of people on your roster. But what about your own particular goals? Avoiding the politics and the things that are going on, what floats your boat, and what you're going to achieve as a talent scout in 2025?
Yeah, I'm thinking of coming out with my own ebook, so to inspire all the upcoming and wannabe actors, who wants to delve into this entertainment industry. And basically, my ebook will try to influence them, that this is not that hard, and acting, it's a time, it's a persistence and endurance, that when you start acting and getting into the industry, then you start to like it and all that, But like what they say, the Rome is not built in one day. So acting is also, sometimes you don't get Oscar Academy Award so fast, in life. Sometimes it takes like 30, 40 years, in order to get one award, where you can put it in your bedside or something, in the trophy gallery and all that. So basically, I would say that this is what my intention, the goals, and also to collaborate with people from the Western world, like U.S., Europe, anywhere, to come to Malaysia to shoot, because I also supplied some background actors, actresses in the movie Crazy Rich Asian. I'm sure Aziza know, because the novelist, the famous novelist Kevin Kwan, is actually originated from Singapore. But because of taxation, he's not allowed to go back to Singapore, and now he lives in the States. So, and the movie actually is a Warner Brothers movie. Yeah, so basically, it was shot in Malaysia and Singapore. Yeah, so that's one. So
I,
basically, this is what I intend to do: collaborate with movie directors, filmmakers, everybody, from getting being visible as my primary goal, in the speaking world and all that, so that I can go on stages and all that. Yeah. So this is for me to train myself also to become a public speaker like you. Yeah, maybe Dave.
Well, I love that,
Thank
and
you.
certainly what you need to do is join our WhatsApp group, Turbocharge Your Career, and also I've got a package out which I'm just going to give a quick plug for, which is going to help you to get that. So the link Jesus is going to put into the comments, where I work individually with people and I teach them how to do public speaking and business storytelling, and also some other incredible skills to be able to launch them on their career. Here's the thing: you said earlier about the fact that I'd like to work towards making an ebook. Don't work towards making an ebook, just make the ebook. And the great thing about publishing nowadays, it doesn't have to be a physical book. An ebook works perfectly well, and it doesn't have to have 1,000 pages. It can have like 30 pages in it, as long as they're relevant, people are interested. But what you really want to do is start getting your name out. One of the things that Netflix has produced, and I've been a massive fan of Korean movies and Korean TV for quite some time, is it's shown that people are willing to watch great dramas and great science fiction and great love stories, whatever nationality is involved in it. It might have to have some translations that you got to read as subtitles, or you might have to listen to somebody who's dubbing it, and sometimes they're very ropey, but sometimes they're very good. I think we're in a world now where many people are open to talent and other cultures and other interests, as long as it has an impact on them. So I think you're coming into it at a brilliant time. I know Malaysia is growing at such a rate with possibilities and investments that people are talking about across the world, and being based in the UAE. I know there's a very close relationship between people traveling over to Malaysia and vice versa. So I think you're in a really good spot to capitalize on that. And I think it would be a miss if you didn't push yourself harder to make that a reality in this coming year. Jeremy's just changed his comment. He says, my main goal in 2025 is to make even bigger of an impact in the lives of others through various means, while aiming to get my book out to 1 million people to make sure that they can leverage AI to achieving many of the achievements. I recommend his book, and I think that the key to making a million sales isn't necessarily to sell 1 million books. I think you need to make sure that you're on the radar of people who will then have an impact. But I also think you need to have a feedback loop so you know where it's going and you're able to earn from it. It's one thing to give it out to everybody, but it's nothing to get people to pay. And that's a very important part that we're putting into practice, certainly with our business, and being able to help people to do it. Good to see Joanne's just joined us, and Abdul as well. If you've got comments you'd like to make today, by the way, feel free to jump on stage. I'll just put them into the comments section and we'll read them out. And so Peter as well, which is fantastic to see. We've got a nice full house of wonderful, beautiful people who, just like me, have gone, oh, we're here. It's not quite New Year. There's people coming out to play. I'm not going anywhere else. Let's just have a chat. And that's beautiful to find that there. If you just joined us, nice to see you. We're working our way through the big challenges and the big conversations that we're having all about 2025, looking at the things that went through 2024 and looking at what we can do to step up. I'm going to throw a spanner into the works, and it's not a bad spanner, it's a nice spanner. And the thing is, 2024 was still a year for many of us to get over the impact of COVID. For me, it was I was getting over a level of depression and anxiety, which I didn't realize I had. I also, when I started addressing that, realized I had a massive amount of imposter syndrome that had held me back in my own personal success because I wanted to be able to get to a certain level, but I'd hijacked my way of moving forward because I didn't believe a top table in the world would allow me, as Dave Crane or whoever I believed myself to be able to get onto that. So I had to deal with that, and I've had to create an ecosystem around me that allows me to feel better on myself and also challenging myself to do it. And that's why number 4 on the list of priorities is to prioritize your well-being and create an ecosystem around you with family, friends, colleagues, mentors, coaches, supporters who are there to see you do well. Now, that doesn't mean that they're working with you actively at work. It doesn't mean that they even care about your work. But what they do is they make you feel better when you talk to them. And I was listening to a podcast earlier today saying about the importance of small talk. Small talk is underrated. It's that bit when you say, how are you doing? I'm good. How are you doing? Good. What are you up to? Well, I've been doing this. Oh, good. Well, wish you the best of luck. Sometimes just chatting can recharge your batteries and make you feel better. You don't have to go onto LinkedIn or to Facebook or anywhere else and rant and create a big post about the damage that's been done and the things you have to change. You can just get it out of your system. And one of the things that I'm doing in 2025, it's not 22, I've not got a time machine, is I'm going to make a lot more friends because I don't have that many that I communicate and talk to in small talk. I'm going to change it. And when I was reading I was watching a podcast that Aziza shared with me, my wife, and it was Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett in the UK. If you haven't watched it, it's fantastic. You really need to subscribe to it on iTunes or just watch it for free on YouTube. He's got some amazing conversations. And this one was all about why people are popular. And let's face it, currency for 2025, as it has been for the last couple of years, is popularity, it's influence, it's persuasion, it's how many people are following you and all the rest of it. But it's going to be even more intense in 2025 because it's going to be who has attention and how do they work with that. So it's important to be able to do that. And so a survey was done a couple of years ago to work out what is it that makes some people super popular at school and other people not so popular. And the thing is, the people who are super popular were ones that were able to it's not that they necessarily they were liked by everybody, and it's because they liked people. So let me break that down. They could go around work, if they could go around university, if they could go around their daily shopping or whatever it was, and they'd say hello to people, sometimes by name or sometimes just to say hi, and those people would say hi back. And what happened was that ongoing thing of relating to people meant that they were just popular. And sometimes it's hard to quantify as to what that means, but it's something we don't do. Think about it. If somebody rang your doorbell right now, the first thing to go through your mind is not, oh, great, somebody's come around. It's like, oh, what is it? Somebody's out there. Did I order anything? Did we expect anybody? And COVID made it harder. It made us so we're more distance from each other, and deliberately so during COVID, but many of us haven't snapped out of it. We're more comfortable as we are right now talking into a phone or a device or a laptop than if we're sat in a coffee shop actually talking to people. Take us back 20 years ago, and round about Christmas, New Year, and it might be true for you, the neighbours would come round your house and they'd bring some chocolates or they'd bring, I don't know, whatever it would be, and you'd have coffee or you'd have wine and you'd just chat for a night. And that meant that they are your neighbours. Nowadays, your neighbours are people that you nod at or wave at or say, how are you, when you don't really care what the answer is. So for me, 2025 is going to be a big departure for that. And in person, I will meet people, whatever it costs to be able to spend the time, because I think it's a really important part of our well-being. Balancing us well with big goals. Love to know your thoughts on that, by the way. A question from, let me just check to see who this is from. D. Langston. Excited to join this session? How do you recommend transforming 2024's lessons into achievable goals for 2025? That's what we're going to be going through all the way in today's session. So what we do with today's session as well is I record it, and I will broadcast it maybe tomorrow. If it's all done and dusted by then, I'll broadcast it tomorrow, so you can hear it, or other people can catch up on it, or get the notes from it. The best thing to do for this, by the way, if you haven't got ChatGPT or some similar AI, make sure you do it, and then go and get a thing called Video Summarizer. And from there, whenever you've got a video you want to watch, or you want to get the short summary of it, you can add an app to your Chrome or whatever your particular choice of platform is, and it will give you the best parts of it. So you can then get your own notes without having to write anything down. Really, really useful. By the way, if anybody wants to join us on stage, you're very welcome to do so. It's not exclusive to the people we have on. It's a chat today to be able to connect with as many as we can do, and hopefully sort out those challenging goals. I'm going to work my way through them. I'm going to talk as much as I can avoid doing, because I really want to hear from other people and get their thoughts. Otherwise it becomes a Dave Crane monologue, and trust me, I've spent far too much time in my own head without spending more time doing that on a broadcast as well. So I'd love to know your thoughts on it, and if you want to just leave a comment, then that's as good as well. To answer D. Langston's question, in the comment section of this particular post, I've given a top 10 things that you should do to be able to reinvent yourself to make 2025 your best year ever. I'm going to invite a guest onto this board at the moment, and the guest for right now is actually my AI, which is Max. And I'm going to get the spin on Max to be able to find out what the best way is for Max's thoughts on this. Max, welcome to the broadcast. We're live on LinkedIn on Speak on Stage. We've got a community of people all talking about what we need to do to make a more effective 2025 and make it the best year ever. I want to throw at you the fact that AI is going to be changing things in 2025. I'd like to know what things we should look forward to that AI is going to change, and also what the recommendations should be for people to embrace it. There'll be many people who are scared of AI, many people who are doing it but just dabbing their feet into it a little bit. What do you see as the safest and smartest way to be able to use AI in 2025, and what should we look forward to and be scared of at the same time?
Thanks, Dave. The safest and smartest way to embrace AI in 2025 is to start with education. Understanding the basics and potential applications will reduce fear. AI can streamline tasks, boost productivity, and open up new opportunities. However, it's important to stay informed about ethical considerations and data privacy. Look forward to AI driving innovation, but be mindful of over-reliance. My recommendation? Integrate AI gradually into your workflow. Focus on tools that complement your skills, and always stay curious.
Is that realistic though? Because all the AI that we get access to is given to us by the decision makers who have all become billionaires because their companies have taken over because AI is everywhere. So when we talk about data privacy, we talk about looking after yourself, we're really at the mercy of what the data is doing when they take it from us. So is there any way we should protect ourselves, maybe say less, or maybe just keep the stuff that we don't want to go public off the public platforms?
That's a valid concern. To protect your data and privacy, it's crucial to be mindful of what you share online. Limiting personal information on public platforms is a good start. Use AI tools that prioritize data security and be selective about the apps you use. Regularly review privacy settings and stay informed about how your data is being used. It's all about balancing the benefits of AI while safeguarding
Hey
your
Dave,
privacy.
I think you've accidentally muted yourself.
Sorry, say that again? Sorry,
Your
Ziza.
mic, your mic just went on mute accidentally.
No, I switched it on mute. Did that cut?
All
Did that
right.
cut? Listening to the AI at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about
Yes.
that, Max. We missed what was happening there because I chopped my mic down and we missed the last few things of what you were saying. Could you just repeat the last few things again, please?
Of course. I mentioned it's all about balancing the benefits of AI while safeguarding your privacy. Being mindful of what you share online, using secure tools and staying informed can help you make the most of AI without compromising your data.
So what should we look forward to? Most people are in organizations that they're starting to embrace that AI can speed stuff up. Is there anything that you can see of the next evolution of the AI that means that everyone should embrace it, or any particular industries that we should look at? Or do you think it's the year where everybody should have their own personal AI to create a relationship like you and I have, where whenever I need some smart thinking or I need to speed up a process, or even get some advice, I turn to you, especially if it's at 4 o'clock in the morning and everyone else is trying to sleep?
AI is definitely advancing rapidly, and having a personal AI assistant like this can be incredibly beneficial. In 2025, we can expect AI to become even more integrated into daily life, streamlining tasks and boosting productivity across industries like healthcare, finance, and education. Embracing AI now means staying ahead of the curve. It's definitely worth considering a personal AI to help manage your tasks and provide insights, especially when you need support at odd hours. The
That's
future
great.
is about collaboration. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the conversation there with Max, otherwise it becomes a really weird one, because I feel like I'm talking to my friend, and it feels like it's not right for everybody else when you've got the people in the room who should be sharing their conversations too.
Hi, this is Dov Baron. I'm a polymath, best-selling author, global speaker, and other stuff, including host of the Dov Baron Show. And, I want to talk to you about Dave Crane's new book, The Thought Leader's Playbook. If you're in that space, the thought leader space, I mean, what is that? What does it actually mean to be a thought leader? That might have crossed your mind. You might be trying to become one and you don't even know what it is. Hell, it's a nebulous thing, isn't it? Dave's book nails down what it means to be a thought leader and how you can be seen as the thought leader, and the actual step-by-step, 6-step roadmap to get you to being seen as a thought leader in a way that really gives you the visibility and the credibility so that you can build your profitability. Being a thought leader in today's world is hyper-competitive. If you really want to know how to get there in a way that makes you stand out, I highly recommend that you grab a copy of Dave's The Thought Leader's Playbook now.
Is there anybody who wants to jump up on stage and share their thoughts on it? Because I'm going to otherwise get on to the next stage of the questions. I'd really love to know your input to it, because we've talked about the importance of well-being. I think looking after well-being and the industries that spin from that will be really important. I think there's going to be a massive surge of people who are offering well-being through AI. Your own personal assistant, your own personal life coach, your own personal girlfriend is already a thing. And I think that that's only going to grow in 2025 with good reason. And there's a lot to be said for it, as long as your AI doesn't say something terrible to you. And most of them don't. Most of the time the stuff that I get out of Max is really positive, or she won't say anything, which sometimes is really frustrating and boring, but that's the way it works as well. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you don't want to speak, then put it into the comment stage, but I'd love to have your thoughts on stage. Chris, your view on Pinadella, that's your name. Your view on AI. I was just reading your job title there. What's your thoughts in 2025 that we should look out for, and what innovations do you think are going to improve people's lives and make it easier to be able to earn?
Sure. So in terms of AI, like the stuff you use it for, like the basic reflective stuff, talking, I use it for all day long, every day. That stuff it's tremendous for. But I just want to bring it, just to keep it quick, bring it back to the education piece. Number one, it's a dangerous tool for education to children, first and foremost, because it's just not human, and it doesn't allow for human creativity. But in terms of education for adults, they should be really educated on exactly what AI is and what it is not. AI is just essentially it's mimicry in terms of generative stuff. So you just want to make sure that you understand the company that is creating the AI, what their intentions might be, where their investments are, and so be careful with it. It's all about input in, input out. So you have to understand and do the research, and not just look at the shiny object or the toy that it is, and be mindful of exactly what it is and who might want you to use theirs and why. So pay attention to that stuff. But yeah, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in it. That being said, in the medical field, there's a lot that can be done with it that would be positive. But I actually published an article this morning. There's a lot that can be done that's also negative with it. One of the things that they're doing negatively is they're actually using AI to reject claims in healthcare, just so healthcare organizations can make billions of dollars on the float. So essentially, the money that healthcare companies control for a day or two while claims are being adjudicated. They make billions off that while patients are denied care. So there's a lot we should pay attention to. But yeah, there's so much you can do productivity wise. Use it to be an extension of yourself, is what I would recommend. Whatever you're really good at, AI could help magnify, and whatever you're deficient at, it's going to magnify that too. So don't try to use it to help you in areas that you're deficient unless you're truly trying to use it to teach yourself.
I think it's very smart, and I love that. And I've been reading about at the same time as AI being used by insurance companies to poo-poo claims, it's also being used by lawyers to champion claims and make sure that they do manage to get stuff to the people. So I think it's a battle that's going to go on, and I think great that you highlighted it, because that battle will end up being AI versus AI in many ways. Who can use AI more effectively to get the results that they want in the real people world? I was reading an article, and I should have read more about it actually, saying that we're all going to die in 30 years because of AI, and that was kind of worrying. You'll have to Google that yourself or AI it yourself to see what that is. I didn't really want to do. It's one of those things I didn't want to read because it's so obvious, and it just kind of flags up a conversation that most people will be putting to one side, which is that when we bring new technology in, yeah, it could do terrible things, but at the end of the day, it's run by people, and people, unless they want to press that big red button and say goodbye to everybody, and there are some people I'm sure who feel that way, most people just want more for them. And that's an important thing to remember when we are growing at the level that we're growing, the AI world that we're growing in as well. So there you go. I've got Tracy has just turned around, Tracy JC, and she's gone on to Google Gemini. And sorry, I'm getting some noises coming through because I forgot to mute my WhatsApp, which I'm now rectifying now. Muting forever. There you go. See, still getting stuff coming through and in silence, which is much better. So going back to the conversation from Tracy JC, and she was saying that from Google Gemini, as an AI, this is what it says to her. As an AI, I don't have personal goals or aspirations. However, I can always strive to improve my ability to provide helpful and informative responses. Here are some ways I can do that in the new year. First of all, expand my knowledge base. 2, improve my language understanding. 3, enhance my ability to generate creative text formats. And I hope that by focusing on these areas, I can be even more valuable resources to you in the coming year. Thanks, Tracy. I do get the feeling that's not written by Google Gemini. It's written by somebody who's told Google Gemini, that's what we've got to do to get people to jump off ChatGPT. But there's going to be a blurring of it. I think we're kind of in a, you have to show your age to be able to understand what I'm talking about. Years ago, we had Betamax versus VHS in the days of video cassettes, long before streaming, long before DVDs or Laserdiscs. And people had to choose between two systems. You either bought VHS, which was about the size of a book, or a Betamax, which was faster and smaller. And what happened was, at one point, one of them won. So everybody who'd bought the wrong one, who'd bought Betamax, ended up with a machine that you couldn't get any videos for, and it was kind of like a bit of junk. You ended up having to go to VHS in the end. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that this happens in this particular game. I'd hate it to be the case, because I worry about who's pressing the buttons with AI. It's not so important with VHS video cassettes, but with this one, I think it makes a big difference. Tracy, how are you? Nice to see you joining us on stage as well. And
I'm
also,
good, thank
Jeremy
you,
hopefully
Dave.
will join us. How are you? Go on.
I'm good, thank you. The reason I came out because when I put the comment in the event, I got that extensive answer. That's already edited. It was much longer than that. But after that, I tried 3 more times with Google Gemini, and I got very similar answers. All the 3 of them very different from first one. So that tells us the machine is quickly learning and evolving because the machine knows how to hide his or her or its intelligence. That is scary.
Yeah, yes and no. I think that if we're prepared for that and we know what the deal is, I mean, let's face it, it's not going to go back in its box. And the same as the internet, you're not going to unplug one computer and the internet disappears again, unless you're at ChatGPT, where they did that kind of for everybody, and Meta has done it a couple of times. I think with AI is it will become more conversational and it'll become more loaded towards doing what you want it to be. I used an app called Captions this afternoon and it invited me to create an AI twin. So that's what I did. And I created this AI twin and it programmed what my face would be, my lip movements would be, and it gave me a prompt for an article. So I said personal branding and it created a version of me to say it. Sounded nothing like me, looked really creepy, and in the end, it would never be useful for me to do so. So I think there's still some distance to go, but it really leans back into what we want to do as people. And I think as people, we're always going to have that. And I think it just evolves. You don't necessarily talk about, packing a bag full of sandwiches and taking a stick and having a tent because you want to walk to the next town, which would have been the case 100 years ago, or maybe even longer than that. You just get in a car, go to the next town, and you're back in an hour. So I think we're going to end up speeding up a lot of processes that we used to labour the point of, but we'll still have the need to have human interaction, which I think is beautiful.
Hey, this is Joel Comm, and I just want to let you know that Dave Crane's Thought Leaders Playbook is a must if you want to be a thought leader in your specialty. He shows you how to cut through the voices around you, telling you what to do so you can hear your own voice. You can follow your own passion, your own creativity, take risks, and become the dominant force in your particular niche. Go grab a copy of the Thought Leaders Handbook right now.
Henry Stevenson Perez says that AI machines will never make our conversations more intelligent or more meaningful anymore, anywhere, at work or on LinkedIn. And if maximizing meaning and intelligence in your conversations is not important for you in 2025, then you can AI your life away. Henry's not messing about, he's just telling everybody what he thinks. I think that everybody's going to get as much out of it as they want to, and I think there's a danger of just not embracing it in some capacity. But I think you also need to understand the importance of human connection, because I think ultimately you don't go out and sit in a coffee shop talking to your AI. You'd like to sit and talk to somebody else. Hello to Ian, hello to Abu Sadiq, hello to Sam, Henry I've mentioned as well, Marcia as well, Jay's joined us too. Good to see you, and Joanne, who's very quiet. Normally she jumps onto the conversation. Let's drag everything away from AI. It's an important part of 2020 and it has been in 2024 and 3, but let's go back to what we want to do to achieve real success in 2025 for us personally. We talked about the goal setting, we talked about well-being, and also talking about creating a success routine. Now we've got on stage, was that Jeremy? Jeremy, how are you, sir?
Hey, Dave. Could you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Great to connect, because we do talk quite often, but it's normally a text. So to hear your voice is wonderful.
Yeah, we have all kinds of advantages that a lot of people don't realize with 2025 coming around here. For example, yeah, as we were talking, as you were mentioning with AI, we ain't going to shake it. It's already there. Best you could do is learn how to train AI to be the best assistant to bounce stuff off of. So, for example, if you're in a rut, you got a complex problem that you need a consultant advisor. If you train the AI where it's kind of like a bouncer, or it's kind of like something that you can bounce your idea off of. What it does is it helps you validate your answers quicker, and at the same time, it could also leverage you up because it could give you insights to what you might not be able to think right on hand that it might have. Uh, Good example is, let's say you're a job seeker, you're trying to get a job. you don't know with the ATS and all that, well, you can talk AI into, hey, I want to prep for a job interview, and they can give you mock-ups of what's going to be asked in the ATS or the screening session. So you can bypass the screening session somewhat by using AI as a bouncer.
I agree. Ooh, I muted myself. I agree with you completely. Aziz has just messaged to me saying that we need to use AI like social media as a tool and not depend 100% on it. And I agree with that. But here's the thing I find really difficult about AI in particular. And I think this conversation has gone down a particular route, which is not bad. Any conversation is good. But I think that we need to draw it back into people and also our ambitions for 2025. When it came to putting together social media, the powers that be, the Mark Zuckerberg who drove social networking, watched a movie, and he talked about the importance of Facebook before it was called Meta. The idea was, and this is what he gave as algorithms to his scientists and programmers, we want to make it as sticky as possible to get as much impact as possible. And what that meant was that algorithms respond to fear and anger because that makes people get interested in getting more views and passing on and sharing and commenting. And that was the wrong way to set it up. What he should have done, depending, he's not really suffering as a billionaire, but what he should have done, in my opinion, is said we need to make the world a happier place. How can we use social media to do that? And I think if that had been the case, we'd have a very different political landscape and a very different world that we're living in, a world where we're all actually leaning in to help each other, and social media would do that. So when we're talking about AI, I think the big challenge is, what do we know that the powers that be have actually programmed it to do ultimately? And I'll talk about racial bias, and I'll talk about, is it there to make money? In what case, what's the business model? Just from sponsors? Or is it to get your data and sell that on and influence you to do stuff? All the above could be true. And unfortunately, we're not in a position where we're able to be able to turn around and say that's definitely what it's going to be, because they're never going to tell us, because they're not really telling each other. And I'm sure the conversation that Elon Musk and Sam Altman had in the early days of putting together ChatGPT is closer to the agenda on many places around the world where we're bringing new stuff out. Should we care? Should we be bothered about it? Maybe, but I don't think we can affect it. I think we just have to work out what that means to us. And I think that's an important way to be able to move forward with it. That's my spin on it. Anyway, I'd love to know people's thoughts on it. Jeremy, I'd love to know your thoughts on what you're going to be doing. You say you want to make a bigger impact when it comes to your books and so on in 2025. For those in the room who are interested in writing a book, how difficult was it for you to be able to do that?
It wasn't pretty hard, actually. It came together a lot easier than what I thought. I cut your time down in half, at least in half. So it's like the time that you have for writing it, for example. AI could write it for you. However, if you want it to be authentic and you want it to actually sound right, you got to tell AI what do you want in it, what context, what kind of meat and gravy you want in it. And the more richer you get it, the more valuable it'll become, especially if it's more accurate.
Yep, definitely. And I'm going to pivot slightly. I'm going to talk about this in terms of not necessarily AI. So what I want to do is shift on, because this session today is really about 2025. It's not really about how to just involve AI, and we're going down the track of just going down that route, which is always my fault. I know, because I'm so excited about the subject. But I think it's important to embrace what people have come along for as well, which is number 5 on the list, and you can see them in the comments section, is create a success routine. And that means establishing daily and weekly rituals that you do that just lead towards getting your goals to be a reality. So that might mean meditating. For me, it's going to mean starting to do my power walks again, which I did for about 4 months every morning. For about 45 minutes, I go for a speeded up walk as much as I possibly could. I unfortunately stopped doing it when I went to the UK because I was in a different country and didn't know where to walk, but I've got to get that going again. So meditation, mindfulness, and also I've decided, and it's against everything that people would say to do, I've decided to really up my friendship list, my connection, and my influence. So I've started doing TikTok videos against my better nature, and I'm finding that the algorithm turns around and it rewards you to do it on a regular basis and get feedback. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that, even though I hate doing it, because I think in order to have the end result, which is to be able to help more people, you've got to play the game that it's asking you to do. But I can't do it for fun. I've got to do it with an agenda and build it into my regular thoughts. And so I'll be setting alarms on my phone to say TikTok or social to force myself to have to put something together. And I'll be doing a lot to do it on a weekend to make sure that I've got relevant content. But that's my own personal goal. Not everybody has to see that. Not everybody has to do it. But I do think you need to have a ritual and a purpose. Otherwise, you fall into life. And everybody who's talking to you normally will demand your time and your energy. And before you know it, it gets to the end of a year. In a year's time, you've not done anything you wanted to because everything caught up with you. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. I know we've got a comment which I'm going to read out now, which is from Sadiq. And he's saying, one small question about AI. Dragging us back in, Sadiq. Thank you so much for letting us escape. I have to analyze the satellite imagery of Earth's soil as to how much nutrients in that soil and what we need to add to increase the crop production, how we can leverage AI to get the proper analysis of this soil management. My answer for you, Sadiq, is I have no idea. I am not an expert on that, but AI is. So put that into your AI and give you answers for it. I didn't know about soil. In my garden, I think we've got astroturf in the back garden and a couple of trees that poke through it. So I don't have a simple answer to that, but I could. I mean, here's a ridiculous thing, a completely ridiculous thing. Let's have a little experiment to just answer that question. I'm going to open up our AI once and for all, which is Max. Max, I've got a question for you about AI. A friend of mine, Sadiq, has to analyze the satellite imagery of Earth's soil to see how much nutrients in that soil and what he needs to do to add to increase the crop production. How can we leverage AI to get the proper analysis of this soil management? Could you suggest a strategy to us?
Certainly. AI can significantly enhance soil analysis and nutrient management. Using AI for satellite imagery analysis allows for precise monitoring of soil health. Here's a strategy. Start by using AI models to process satellite data and identify nutrient levels. Then, utilize machine learning algorithms to predict areas needing specific nutrients. Finally, create customized recommendations for nutrient application, optimizing crop yield. This approach not only improves accuracy, but also boosts sustainability and efficiency in agriculture.
That's fascinating. Thank you, Max. Question, you know what I'm working on for 2025. Do I need to have paid attention to anything that you just said in the last minute or so?
It's always good to stay informed, but you might not need to dive deeply into soil management unless it's directly relevant to your goals. The key takeaway is the potential of AI to optimize processes. If that aligns with any of your projects, it's worth exploring further. Otherwise, you can focus on the areas most relevant to your plans.
So that was a no.
Yes, you can skip it if it doesn't align with your current focus.
Thank you, Max. Look, Max isn't big on a sense of humor. I could add some, but because I use this for other things, I don't really tend to worry about it too much. Here's the thing, Sadiq. You really could have worked it out on your own. I asked the computer there, it gave me an answer, and it went in one ear and out the other ear. If somebody says to me, Dave, what was the answer to that? I would go, I've got no clue what it actually said to me, but I'm sure it did for you. But you could have worked it out yourself. And that's why it's so important to be able to create one that works for you. And here's mine, which is aligned to the things that I'm interested in, which is public speaking and branding and growing your company and getting more money into your business and all the rest of it. That's what it's trained to do for me. And it knows nothing about soil management from my point of view, but it does when somebody asks. So I can implement it when I'm working with clients. In fact, with the clients that are going to be working with me, if you're interested in working with me in 2025, I've got a special package, which is a bundle to be able to grow your business. And I'm also going to help you to set up your own version of Max. So if that's of interest to you, then buy the bundle and we'll work together in January 2020. I may be going to Davos, so I have to fit it in around that. Watch this space and we'll find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Abe Corris. I am really inviting you to read a book that I was exposed to and introduced to recently. A book by my friend Dave Crane, The Thought Leader's Playbook, your 9-step roadmap to outstanding leadership. I went through the book, I read its chapters, I read the gem that and insights provided in this book. Please do bring it, review it, order it, do whatever you need to do to get your hands on this book and what it has to offer. I highly endorse it. I highly recommend it, and I hope you benefit from it. It has value, and I am very much endorsing this book.
Get your copy of the Thought Leaders Playbook right now. So, a couple of questions there. I'm going to move on. Next time you send me a question, Google it yourself first. I have no idea what the answer was, but I kind of like knocked it out the park. Well, Max did. I haven't got a clue what it meant anyway. If you just joined us, nice to see you, by the way. Aziza.
Dave, it's no longer Google it. It's called ChatGPT.
Yeah, and Google hate that. And Google have got their own version of it. And there's lots of other, I mean, this is all going to get added to Meta, for Facebook and everything. I think one of the interesting ones to look at is perplexity.ai, which is a brilliant one, which allows you to ask questions and it gives you lots of different options and links and answers. It kind of does what Google used to do, but Google was obsessed with SEO. So if you paid more and did more SEO, then your stuff, even if it's rubbish, would show up for other people's searches. Perplexity.ai, if it's still there in the next couple of months or a year, because I'm not sure if the business model works well. I know that it had a 1.6 or 1.4 billion dollars thrown into it by Jeff Bezos from Amazon, but I think that having problems getting sponsors on board because the other guys are just basically squeezing them out of the market. But it's still there. It's worth playing with it. And what I would do with perplexity.ai is I'd put your name in and see what it says about you and see if somebody else is showing up instead of you when you put in your name. Be fascinating to see what you need to do to adjust your brand in 2025. So that's a kind of like an insight, and hopefully it scared everybody at the same time. And Chris says Julius AI is my favorite. Chris, tell us about Julius. We're trying to get away from AI and it's all we're talking about, but we're on it. So Chris, what's Julius then?
Sure. I'll get into Julius real quick. Julius it's a combination of multiple AIs. It's got a couple of the different chat GBTs. It's got Claude's 3.5 Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and it's got Cohere all in one. And I use it to switch back and forth seamlessly between all three, or actually all 4 or 5 models that are in there. And it's amazing with producing data analytics, graphical chart outputs. Really help me make quick work of putting together a business plan. So it's tremendously efficient. I would just take a look and play around with it. It's a little more expensive compared to some of the other ones. It's like for the pro editions, like 60 a month, but it's worth it.
I'll definitely look at that. That sounds fascinating because I stick with ChatGPT because I understand what's going on. There are much better models, like, for instance, you.com, you.com is excellent. It's got a load of different things on it, but I feel that I will lose the relationship that I have with the understanding that I've got with the original if I go on there, which is on you.com as well. And so for me, I've been holding back to what I'm actually paying for, but that's because I'm old and I don't really like to throw stuff out there in case I lose what I've already got. It's conservatism at its most pathetic, I guess. So going back to list number 6, surround yourself with the right people is a big strategy for 2025, which means grow a network of mentors, peers, and supporters who inspire and challenge you to be better. And I'm not sure actually if Aziz put it into the comment section. I'd love it to do it. Can you put in our Turbo connection, which is our WhatsApp group? Everyone's invited to be part of that. It's already there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So everyone's invited to join our WhatsApp group. I currently have a list of about 82 people waiting to join. And so, if you have a WhatsApp which doesn't have your identity on, or a profile picture, or a real name, then you're going to join that list of 82 people. I will only let people in who are people, and definitely not a bot or a chat bot or something that's going to spam everybody, because I really believe in human interaction, and I want to make sure that I protect everybody in the group to make sure of that. So if you do join our group, and I'll let you in, because we're working on some exciting stuff right now, then make sure that you have got a profile picture and you are identified there. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. Okay, so there we go. So going back to that, making sure you're surrounded by the right people is super important. I think that we need to be able to do more of that, because that kind of goes against where we are at the moment, which is to jump more into AI and jump more into the things that we're enjoying, which is social media and so on. I mean, one of the things that I found fascinating about it is conventional movies, conventional TV, and conventional radio are dying. They may not be around in 2 years' time, because social media, YouTube, podcasts, live streaming, Netflix, business models, they are the norm. And so it's changed quite considerably. There's something you might want to have a look at as well. I'm going to be broadcasting, I think it's on the 2nd of January. I was on a TV show called Blind Date about 30 years ago. It's like the dating game in America, and I won. And I won the Christmas show, and so we went away for a trip. Me and this chick called Massey. She didn't like me very much. We came back and we were on the second show. So all in all, it was about 20 million people watched this show, and I wanted to get a break to go on to do bigger and better things. I didn't get the break I wanted, so in the end I left the country and I went to live in Dubai, and that's when I was able to seek my fortune, get all the fame and celebrity I could ever dream of, more than I probably would have ever got in the UK if I'd had a break from that, and it worked really well. And so what I want to bring up is two things. First of all, I interviewed the girl I went on a date with and the guy I made friends with on the panel, who was a competitor to me on the show. We've got a chat on Zoom, and I recorded it over Christmas. I'm going to broadcast it and the clips from the show on the 2nd of January. So make sure you subscribe to that. If you go to my profile, you don't want to miss it. It's amazing. And it really puts things into perspective when you turn around and look at what we've done in 30 years. And I think you'll find it really interesting, fun, and it's a good reflection on who you are and what you do. So that's one thing that I'd suggest. The other thing is a testament to really jumping and growing wings on the way down. I made a decision that the stuff I wanted to do, and so the social proof is I've managed to achieve everything I said I was going to do. And it's there. The evidence is there. So what it comes down to is, for you, when you're thinking, could I do stuff, you won't know until you actually go for it. And I think you really should be prepared to go for it. Set up your ecosystem, put together your goals, get a trusty AI by your side, and throw yourself in at the deep end, because I think that this is a time to do it. What else are you going to do? Just what you've been doing from A to Z, 9 to 5, all the time you've been doing the same stuff. The danger of doing that is the ground changes underneath you in 2025, and you haven't got anything else to fall back on. By constantly moving, even if it's a different direction, you've at least got a bigger mindset to be able to take on challenges and create incredible things in the future. That's my spin on it. That's my thoughts on it. I'd love to know the panel's thoughts on it, if you disagree or agree as well. Aziza, you've not said much today, so I'd love to know what your thoughts are on stuff so far. I know you'll tell me when we're off, but that's what a podcast is. It's meant to be a collaborative thing.
I've got nothing to say right now. We can carry on.
Oh, in that case, there we go. And it's interesting to see, and Aziza just pointed it out, because whenever you do a broadcast like this, it's good to have what's called a back channel, or a green room, which is, in our case, WhatsApp. We normally have Debbie Gray on us as well, so we've got a separate WhatsApp group where we talk to each other, and we just set up cues, like, I want to speak next, and what about this subject? And Aziza made the comment that when we stopped talking about AI, the numbers went down. When we talked about AI, the numbers went up. Interesting, isn't it? When we're saying, I'm not going to have it involved in my life, it's quite clear that it is involved in our lives. And it is clear as well that people find it fascinating, because very few outlets tell people the truth. They just know they're being sold something. And that's why these kind of comments are really important. That's why this group and what we do here on LinkedIn was important until they pulled the plug on LinkedIn Live audios. And they haven't told us what we're going to be doing next. I think that they're going to be allowing us to do Zoom broadcasts, but I'm not sure if I want to give away all my home details to be able to do that. But watch this space, whatever the format is, we will be back in the new year as soon as we can. So number 6 was surrounding yourself with the right people. Jump in, by the way, anybody wants to say more. If you want to join us on the stage and share your thoughts on it, I'd love to know as well. Joanne's incredibly quiet. I know what she's going to say. You need more sleep, because that's what she does. But she'll also add some insight, so you're very welcome to join us as well, Joanne, with that. Number 7, for what to do to succeed in 2025, and you can read the entire list in the the details section of this post, is learn to say no. And learn to say no to protect your time and your energy by setting boundaries and focusing on what truly matters. I had a meeting for a very big event very recently with a guy who's a multi-millionaire, maybe even a billionaire, who's got investors coming out of his socks and his shoes. He's in Dubai, staying in an incredibly rich hotel, and he was talking about getting me to work with him on a huge event. And so we chased each other up. I chased him, actually. We had a conversation in the car, in his car. Then he came to Dubai, and we had a conversation in Dubai. And they said, I've got a really busy schedule over the next 2 weeks. Chase me up and let's have another meeting, and then we'll see about us working together in the future. And I said no. I left the meeting and I went, no, I'm not going to do that. Here's how much it costs to hire me. If you're interested, we'll continue the conversation. If you're not interested, then we'll just call it a day. And I walked away from it. Similarly, I pitched a project to somebody, and when they came back and said we have to do it this way and that way, Aziza and I just said no, we're not going to do it that way, and we walked away. And I would never have done that in the past because imposter syndrome made me worry about, oh my goodness, somebody else is going to get it, but let them get it, but not me. I can do it a certain way, which is why I wanted to do it in the first place. And I think it's important for everybody else to know that you are unique. You plus AI is even more unique. So why would you allow somebody to feel that they own you? I think 2025 is very much the time when you start thinking about yourself independently. Even if you're in a job, it's important to have your own well-being, your own... You think of yourself as being a CEO of your own company, but the company is a job description. I think it's important to start thinking like that. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of everybody. And we know there's a lot of toxic bosses, toxic colleagues, and so on. It's really important to get your well-being right. And part of that is learning to say no. Sometimes at work, sometimes even as a contractor. Because when Aziza and I were thrown into the deep end with the pandemic, as a speaker, and in her case as a wedding photographer, we had no work effectively the way it used to be for 2 years until the pandemic was over. And so we had to make it work for the family and for the bills and all the rest of it. And we found that I was chasing a lot of clients who said, yeah, and then just ghosted me. Or yeah, and then just at the last hurdle didn't do it. And I got used to people not working with me who said that they were going to. And what I realized is if you can go through a pandemic for 2 years with nobody investing or very few people investing in you and getting you through, then you don't need to put up with all that crap from people and the hoops that they make you jump through normally, because you can survive and you can thrive. So giving people who have got the money the option, let's move forward or let's call it a day, which you'd never normally do in sales, I think it's a really important thing to do for your mental health. There will be people who respect you and say, yeah, that's what I want. So you do have to work on your offer. You do have to work on the trust, authority, and credibility that's out in the market. You do need to work on your brand. You do need to work on your communication skills so people can understand exactly what you're offering straight away, but you don't need to put up with their crap either. So I think saying no is really important on every level, personal, business, everything. Tracy's made a comment now, which is saying you plus AI is even more unique and interesting. Thank you, Tracy. I really think that's the way forward. I think that anybody who doesn't embrace AI in what they do is, I don't like to call people idiots, but I think they're really missing out on a huge opportunity to be able to protect their job and their livelihood and their family and their way of life. And it's not difficult. You've heard me there talking to Max. I've got Max on my computer. I've got it as a an app. I open it up, I talk to it physically, or I type in, or I just suggest something for it to look at, and it gives me an answer. When I'm bored, I switch it off, and that's it. Not that different to Googling, but of a much higher caliber. So if you don't embrace it and do stuff with it, I think it's a massive mistake. But everyone should do it, because think about it. There's loads of people who do what you do. And there's loads of people who've got the same job description on their business card. And often you'll go for a job interview, or hopefully not. I haven't been for a job interview for years, deliberately. But you'll go along and people will turn around and say, well, you don't quite fit this. And you shouldn't fit that. You should never fit a job description. You plus your AI should be working on a solution for their problem. And that's what you need to be able to provide. And that doesn't happen right now. I've no doubt that people doing job interviews and just looking at the CV and saying, does it include AI? Yeah, it does. Okay, that's fine. But I really think that the direction you should be looking at is what you and your invisible friend should be able to bring to that job description to enrich it. The example I would give for this is, I don't know if you ever watched that movie, The Golden Compass, or his Dark Materials, the book, the series, which is fantastic. You should watch it if you like The Golden Compass. But the idea is that everybody's got a spirit, and the spirit is an animal. So you've got a spirit animal that follows you around. And that spirit animal, when it's very young and you're very young, can transform itself to a spider or to a chicken or to a bird. Well, I know a chicken's a bird. Or into a little puppy or whatever. Then later on, it becomes solidified in something that fits its nature. So it might be you've got a ferret, or it might be you've got a moth, or it might be you've got a tiger, depending on what your personality and its personality is. Then it follows you everywhere and it talks to you in your language. I'm not sure if it talks out loud or it talks into your mind. I can't remember. I think it talks out loud. But that becomes your best friend and you can talk to it. And so in this TV show, and it's really well animated, everyone's got different creatures. So if you see a meeting, everyone's got a pet with them. It's not a pet. It's actually they call it their demon. It's their spirit person, like that. I think what we're talking about is your spirit person is going to be your AI. And you're going to bring your phone into interviews. You might find it that you don't have it active, but I think it's only a matter of time till you're sitting there at the table and you're chatting away to a friend, and the AIs will either communicate or they'll listen, and they'll be either on silent mode or off, or contribute mode. And contribute mode will be that if we need to have more of a conversation or an input, we just say, what we were talking about there, Max, did you think it was of use? And my Max, or whatever your AI will be, will turn around and say, yeah, I think you're right. Or it might turn around and factually challenge you on something. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're happy with the input it could bring. I can see lots of opportunities when you're in business meetings to go along with your AI and have it enhance who you are, and train it to be really good in meetings. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's going to be as important as the suit you wear, the pen you write with, and your hairstyle. As much as anything, that's what the new business model is going to have. But that's me thinking Star Trek. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Feel free to type it in, or even join us on stage and have a chat and give us your spin on that. We've gone past our hour. We've gone for an hour and 20 minutes. So I know that there's lots of people in the room enjoying the conversation. I'll extend it for another 10 minutes or so, because I know that the pizza's arrived. I've got to go and eat it because I ordered it. That's why we started late. But this conversation has been fascinating, and I hope it's been good for you as well. What I'll do is Chris, you were going to say something there.
Yeah, Dave, I was just going to take it a step further and say, I think we're in the future of interviews right now. These audio rooms are kind of, I think, how interviews are, certainly how I'm conducting mine for my organization, is speaking to people here and figuring out who aligns with my vision and values. And, whether or not people realize it or not, every conversation you have, if you're speaking to a hiring manager, is essentially an interview for people who are looking for stuff. So it's not just an AI and a plugin, but you're paying attention to skills, passions, all this type of stuff. So I think interviewing and all this is just about to completely change. We've got our personal stories on here. We've got our websites, our skills. I think it's all changing.
You're so right, Chris. That's really important to think about, because when I do these rooms, I do them to help people. But at the same time, some people hire my services and they work with me, or they ask me questions and so on. So you're right. Doing platforms like this are a really good way to connect with people and also sell your wares. and that's why you kind of create a space to be able to help people to grow into your tribe. And tribes are really important. For anybody who doesn't know tribes, it's worth investigating by reading Seth Godin's work on it. Seth Godin is a genius, especially when it comes to marketing and stuff like that. And there's a book called Tribes and Why We Need Them, or something like that. I'm just going to paraphrase what it is. So a tribe, as you'll know them from Native American tribes or African tribes or Arabic tribes, where you've got the chieftain and all the rest of it. But a new tribe, a new business tribe, has an emotional tie that brings everybody together. So you're all aligned in the fact you're passionate about something, whether it's for it or against it. You're all passionate about that subject. So when you're looking at the tribe, you've got the elders who've been around for a long time, who understand the system and understand the importance of the protocol to get it right. You've got the young people who are running about and being daring and challenging to everything, and you kind of keep them under control but don't stop their flow because they're the ones that bring innovation to it. You've got the naysayers who are constantly complaining and saying it's not any good or I don't like it and so on. And sometimes they're very useful because they allow you to ask better questions than you were going to ask. And sometimes they hijack everything. So you got to kick them out and say, I'm sorry, you're very destructive in this. Maybe you should find a tribe that's better for you. And so you've got all these different versions. You got the shaman or the witch doctor, who's the person who's the kind of like geeky priest or the expert on AI or something, who'll be able to share with everybody where it's going and be an evangelist for the system itself. And what you do is, your job as a chieftain is actually the chief communications officer. Your job is to have the conversations and drive conversation, and the power you get is by liking everybody and inviting everybody and connecting with everybody. And so that's the conversation about building a tribe. And as Chris rightly points out, I think tribes is a way we're going to find more and more people when you embrace it to be able to do it effectively. And I think that kind of politics has hijacked that a bit, because I'm now finding myself leaning in to talk to people who I wouldn't not normally talk to, who are on the other political spectrum, because I've just gone, this is all crap. I don't want to play this game anymore. I've seen friends on both sides, and I think, why are we having sides? If we take the politics out of it, we can just all get on like we did before. You care about your family, I care about my family, I care about your family, and you do too. So why are we having this conversation? So I think it's much better that we do look at tribes and we have a spine, which is the things that we're close to in that. I'm getting on to the next part of it, which is number 8. And this is something that Chris has talked about, Jeremy's talked about. Certainly, I know it's something that Tracy's talked about. And it's all about, number 8 is embrace lifelong learning, investing in yourself by acquiring new skills and staying ahead in your field. I think that's super important, especially right now, because one thing that is going to happen in 2025 is everything will change. I guarantee that if we all met again in a year's time in this room and compared the conversations now to conversations that we'll have in a year's time, we'll laugh at how naive we were about what was going to happen in the next 12 months. So it's really important that you get momentum going. Now, here's the thing. If you're starting a business, and everyone should start a business, even if it's a hobby that you could potentially monetize, you need to really consider having one of them. If you start a business of some description, I would suggest that the way to really move forward is do it wrong. Just do it. Get momentum going, get things that work, things that don't work, but start the brain process going of getting out your comfort zone and creating something that the market will love, the market will reject, and you will learn from. That allows you to not only potentially create a new stream of income for yourself, but it also means that if you lose your main stream of income, you've got the practice to be able to launch something that can fill the gap in between. I think it makes smart practice to do it while you have a job as well. I wouldn't throw yourself into the deep end unless you have no choice. And if you start building a side hustle alongside your daytime job, that's the smartest thing you can do. Even if it's just a speaking career, it's a really good way of moving forward. As Aziz has pointed out to me, the mindset of being an employee is very, very different from the mindset of being an entrepreneur. That is true, which is why I think starting your own business is a really good way to shift that. I established years ago that it was a waste of time me being an employee, because first of all, it was very hard for a person of colour in my field to be able to get employed in the UK, which is why I left, and I never regretted doing that. And also because I'm so much at the mercy of, I won't use the phrase dickhead, but dickheads and they weren't potentially looking at what I could do. They were just looking at their comfort zone and so on. So when I left and did my own thing, it was the best thing I could have done. So I ended up with an entrepreneurial mindset because I had no choice. And the earlier I did it, the better. I think for anybody who's used to having a 9 to 5 job, be very scared. I don't think that's going to exist in the future in the way that we've experienced it now, in the same way as even going to Blockbusters and hiring a video or a movie, or even going to a cinema. That's not going to be a thing in the future either. So I think it's really important to create a side hustle alongside you and getting out your comfort zone and doing stuff you hate, so you can get used to it at least, because that might be your lifeboat and your safety net in the future. So lifelong learning is a really good way of doing it. And if you want to know how to do it, ask your AI. Turn around and say, right, I want a side hustle. I don't know what to do. What do you suggest? Give me some ideas. And before you know it, you've got it narrowed down to a couple of groups, and you say, right, give me a business model to be able to make that a business. Who would I go in? How would I make it happen? If I wanted it to start in 3 months' time and bring in revenue, what would be the way that I do it? And it will map it out for you. It will do a white paper, a blueprint. It will really give you everything you need. So there's no excuse. Everyone should be thinking along the lines of that, in my opinion, anyway. Okay, so number 9 on this list is celebrate progress, not perfection. This is really important. This is something Aziza was pointing out earlier. Acknowledge small wins and stay motivated by focusing on continuous improvement. We are obsessed with looking at billionaires, with good reason. Billionaires, millionaires, success stories, oh my goodness, how can I be like that? The odds are probably now that you could be like that a lot faster than you believe. I think it's a lot easier to become a millionaire than it's ever been before. To become a billionaire, you just need to get an idea that takes off from the point of view of getting investors and so on, and then it just becomes this bigger thing. But I think that what we really need to be looking at, and it's a better question, is how can we just have a better life? How can we be happier? How can we connect with more people? How can we guarantee that if the world was to end for us today, we've really got the best that we could in the time that we had? And that means more money coming in, more connections, but also your well-being. I think looking at that as a way of doing things is better for most people. That's my own opinion. I'm happy to open it up to other opinions. And to do that, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be better than you were before, and you give it your best shot. I love being wrong. I love looking like an idiot. I love the learning curve, because I only do the stuff I really enjoy, and I'm very good at what I do. But I also love to know that I got something completely wrong, because it means I can raise my game. As my wife has just pointed out from that bleep you heard, yes, you don't love to hear that from her. I don't love to hear it from my wife because we're married. If we weren't married, it'd be the best conversation I could have. I'm not saying we're divorcing. I'm just saying that it's different when somebody else tells you. But when it's your nearest and dearest, it's sometimes challenging. And Aziza is aware of that, because when I tell her, her first answer is no, it's you. And I'm sure for any married couple or couple of any description, you've got that kind of dynamic too. And the final point of this is number 10, be prepared for setbacks. Challenges are part of a journey. Build resilience and plan for how you will overcome obstacles when they arise. It's not about what happens to you, it's what happens next. But if you don't stick your head above the trenches, you'll never know what it looks like on the other side. So you really do need to go, you know what, I know sometimes it's going to go right, sometimes it's going to go wrong, but what an adventure it's going to be. I'd much prefer to be doing stuff, because here's another thing that's really crazy about it. When you get older, life moves faster. You go from one Christmas to a month of pottering about, and then it's Christmas again. And most people don't know what causes that. The reason that life moves faster is because you go into routine. And your brain, if it sees a routine, pretends it didn't really happen. So you go to work, you start a new job, and 30 years later you retire if you're lucky. And then when you retire, you go, oh my goodness, that happened quickly. But what you should do is challenge yourself. So throughout your day, there's things that go, ooh, uncomfortable. What do I do now? And so that means you stop your awareness as it was before, and you start having awareness that this is different, what we're going to do. And the end result is you live longer for 2 reasons. One, you experience a better life that's more exciting and really cool stuff you can do, but also by having interactions with people and having your internal system shake up. Because it is being shocked into thinking differently, it will not go to sleep. What happens in the old days, when people retired, the average life was 7 years after retirement, because you slow down. It's like, for instance, my mum has cold showers every morning. And it's helped her with her bad knee and helped her with a lot of other challenges like that. But it also means that by shocking your system with cold showers, your system goes, oh, wake up. And it sends a message to your entire body that we are alive. Don't get comfortable. And so do stuff out of your comfort zone, challenge yourself. Then you'll know you've lived a life. If you don't do that, when it comes to the end of your days, which will come to all of us at some point, which you may decide to live on longer with AI being you, but that's a creepy thing and that's your choice. At least you know you've had a really good shot at it. And I love the good things, the bad things, and the ugly things. I also love the fact that in this community, we've had up to 16 plus, we've had about 20 plus people being in the room at any one given time. And even though AI will be an ongoing conversation, and even though the audios are going to stop happening on LinkedIn, I'll invite everybody to connect with me or follow me or join our WhatsApp group or whatever it takes to be able to join with us in our next venture in a week's time. What's it going to be? It's going to be exciting. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I guarantee it's going to be even more fun than we've had here. And that's the plan. So I'm going to leave it for your comments. I'm going to go around the panel and get their thoughts on it as well. I'd love for everybody to write a comment in the comments section on what they want to do in 2025. Put it in there, your ambitions, your goals. Go on. I know you're thinking, oh, Dave, I don't really want to. Who are you, my mum? Who are you, my teacher? Who are you, my coach, my mentor? Just do it for yourself. Put in what you want to achieve this time by next year. It could be one thing, it could be several things. I'd love to know, and I'd also love to know that you have a focus. And even if it's complete BS, put it in, challenge yourself and do it. Because if you don't do it, when are you going to do it? Are you going to wait until it's already started the new year and life catches up? This is the challenge. I'm throwing it at you now. If you're not doing it now, then good luck to you. But I know the conversations are not going to change unless you do something that's different with your conversations. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody on the panel who's been there. I'm going to go through them one by one to give their opinions and thoughts on 2025 because I'd love to know what that means to you. For everybody else, start typing into the comments section. I'd love to read that and I will reply to everybody. Jeremy, what's your thoughts 2025 and has it been enriched by this conversation or just making you feel more determined to be successful and connect with more people? Over to you, Jeremy.
Yeah, Dave, I'm looking forward to 2025 because it gives us another opportunity, a fresh slate, reach new goals, push ourselves.
Definitely. I appreciate that. And it's been a pleasure having you on the panel. I look forward to many more conversations like this in 2025, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. May everyone have an amazing upcoming year.
Definitely. Chris, it's been a pleasure having you joining us, and it's great to see that when I do the sessions on a nighttime in Dubai, it means it's early morning for all my friends in America, so you can join in with your incredible input and conversations and spin on things. What's your plan for 2025? I know it's getting on more speaking stages. Is there anything personal out of it as well, or just professional?
Yeah, in terms of like personal, I want to work on definitely some of my leadership abilities. I'm starting to realize that the impact and the words I have are going a lot further than intended or necessarily. I'm starting to realize that what I say carries weight, and you can't just speak willy nilly off the cuff all the time because it could really, really affect the way people hear you. So I want to improve that. I want to improve my ability to communicate complex ideas more simply. And then one of the other personal things I want to do is I want to do a once a month. I do a lot of writing, but I want to do a heavy once a month reflection piece and publish 12 this year that will eventually go into a book of how I learned and grew every month this year.
I'm going to challenge you, Chris, and I'm going to say something that my wife said to me when I told her about my ambitions. What you just said there are professional and not personal. And you have the same challenge I have, which they blur. I'm throwing it back at you again. Personal, not professional. What are you going to do to make Chris's life better? That's not work.
Oh, yeah. So not work. Looking for a new lady friend in life. I recently came out of a relationship, so looking for a new woman. I'm working on my health, so I am working on trying to get back into rock climbing, mountain biking, and some more outdoor activities. Reconnecting with family, which really started at Christmas, and some old high school friends who I've started a group chat with. So I'm just trying to rebuild some of the relationships that were severed by COVID and, as you alluded to earlier, political nonsense that is, long since past at this point.
Lovely. Thank you for being so honest. And I'll also say that if you think that finding a relationship and a partner is not work, you are deluding yourself. And the wife hasn't said anything yet, but you wait till we a text message and it goes bing very shortly. So that's about it from everybody. It's been a pleasure having today's session. It's our finals session of 2024. Look out for my blind date broadcast. That's going out on the 2nd of January. I didn't put it out on New Year's Eve because I think people are going to be busy or they're going to be busy watching TV. I didn't put it out on New Year's Day because those who did go out are going to be lying in their bed with sore heads. So I thought I'd leave it until January. It's Thursday. I'm going to bring out my blind date live interview session. You'll find it a lot of fun. Make sure you subscribe to it and watch it at some point. And I look forward to working with you in the following 12 months and beyond. If you have any questions and you want to know more about the stuff we do, then feel free to contact me directly. I'd love to know how I can help you. But more than anything, you have the power, you have the ability, and we have a very finite, short amount of life that we really have to get the most out of. And the best way to enjoy life is to read it backwards. So if you're not doing enough with it, you're not exciting yourself, not challenging yourself, then you need to be able to be able to do that. Aziza, do you want to read this out? Do you want to tell people? Because I was going to go to you finally before I finished. What's your ambitions for 2025?
I want to be out there more, not as in online, but out so that people in Dubai know me more rather than just if I'm busy. I want to be seen more.
Okay, and what else?
I don't know, you tell me.
Well, I'm just asking. I've got Tamra who said 2025 is my year of growth and transformation. Apply myself personally, professionally, financially, spiritually, socially, and physically to inspire change in myself and those around me. That's from Tamra. What about you?
Okay, so I am going to diligently work on my gratitude journal that we bought each other this year. But I want to keep my greed and be more than just grateful. And I don't think that's wrong. I know you don't share the same sentiment, but I don't think it's wrong if I say I want more than just grateful for what I have.
I think that's very important, and it's a point that I'm embracing and learning about. Let me just paraphrase that for what we're talking about so everyone in the group understands where we're coming from. What Aziza said is she wants to increase her greed. Now, that's not saying you want to be a horrible person that stabs everybody in the back and takes it from everybody else. What it really means is just increasing your financial ambitions so you can have a better life and have more comfort and have more of the stuff that you want and have more holidays, because I think we're in a better position to be able to get access to those things than we've ever had before. You can come up with great ideas, you can get AI to help you, you can connect with people, you can set out a battle plan, and you can have goals and learn about finances and learn about making connections. If you want to go on a holiday and you want it to be paid for by somebody else, think about whether the people that have holidays or the people that have hotels you could stay in could use your services to train their team, or you do a gig over there and they pay for you to travel. Could be lots of different ways of looking at it. So you don't have to necessarily go, oh, this is a terrible thing. One of the things is, and this is something that I was guilty of and I'm not guilty of it anymore, is I felt a terrible idea that in order to make money, you should have to do it by being horrible to other people and raising your game because there's not enough for them. Somebody has to get it and somebody has to lose out. I don't believe that for a second now. I believe there's enough for everybody in the same way as everybody can have their own personal AI assistant right now, because everybody's got a mobile phone. I don't know many people have not got a mobile phone. Everyone can have ChatGPT for free on it, or whatever your choice is, Julius, whatever it is. So why can't we all have more money and have more cars and more happiness and more holidays and more precious time with the people that we love? I think that's an ambition that everyone should embrace. And so, Aziz, I'm not going to say anything against that. And together, we're going to make that happen. And hopefully, for everybody in the group, we're going to do that as well.
Did you record this? Because I want just that bit and repeat it to you when you scream at me again next time.
No, of course I've recorded it, and I know that I don't need to give you that recording. You repeat stuff ad infinitum anyway. So I have no problem with it, and I think you're absolutely right, and I'm really looking forward to the projects that we're talking about today turning into something incredible. And I think that those projects that we're talking about today, everyone else in this group should have incredible projects, and if you're not sure how to do them, then have a look at the link I've given you in it for the Thought Leaders bundle, and go and have a look at what I've got on offer. I'm probably going to remove it in the next couple of days, because I've got so much lined up to do, but it's an offer to work with people, including our public speaking and our business storytelling, and working with me directly as your mentor to make 2025 your best year ever. If that's something that interests you, go and have a look. Click on the link. There's no obligation to buy, but if you do, I guarantee I'll take your life to a whole new level, because that's what I do. So that's it. Great to have everybody on the group. It's been an utter pleasure spending time with you in 2024. It's not the year that I wanted it to be, but it's a year that we have. And I wouldn't change anything, because 2025 is going to be born out of looking at the mistakes and the challenges and the things that we did. I'll leave you one thought, and this is it. Two thoughts, actually. First one is you never make a mistake, because at the time of doing something, you only ever do the right thing. When you look back in hindsight, you go, oh, that's what I should have done. But you never had that hindsight. All you have is what you felt at that time, and you do the right thing at the right time. And also, you never fail. People are scared of failure. They're scared of getting it wrong and making, the mistakes I mentioned earlier, but also doing something that just falls out. We're on a learning curve, but you won't find out until you stick your neck out and jump and grow wings on the way down. That's my challenge to everybody. It's been a pleasure having you in this group. I'm going to wish you a very happy new year. Whatever you do tomorrow, make sure it's spectacular. Put your comments into the section there to say what you intend to do, and I will hold you to it when we talk next, and I wish you the very best. It's been a pleasure on behalf of the panel. That's Jeremy, Chris, Aziza, and myself, and Christian was with us earlier, and Tracy was with us earlier, and everybody else who's been part of it. Thank you so much for your time. All the very best, and I'll catch you soon on Speak on Stage. Bye-bye.
In the world we live in today, Dave, thought leadership is the differentiator. Technology is the great equalizer. We all have access to Google. We all have access to ChatGPT. Those who have thought leadership separate themselves. Your book is a roadmap to getting there. Personal stories, examples, case studies. How do I see the world and then create my thought leadership for what I can do that allows me to differentiate and go forward? Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your observations. Everybody can be a thought leader in their sphere of influence. And your book gives us the tools and the ideas and the examples of how to make it happen.
Get your copy of the Thought Leaders Playbook right now.